You know, this used to be a hell of a good country. Can you understand what's going on with it? Chaos now. Chaos. T-minus 15. Oh, they're not scared of you. They're scared of what you represent. 10, 9, ignition sequence start. What you represent to them is freedom. We have ignition. Engines up. We have liftoff. We have liftoff.
Good morning. Welcome to Chaos Radio number 174 on the WBTM Internet Radio Network, coming to you live from downtown Arlington, Texas.
No, it's not either. No, not downtown.
Well, we're close.
Oh, okay. Well, we want to tell the truth here, okay?
Anyway, hey, look, we just keep getting hit again and again by this cold weather. Of course, it's not as cold as it is up north, but it's unusual for us.
It's colder than the Super Bowl.
At least there's a warm. At least, we're used to at least getting cold and then warming back up, and getting cold and warming back up. Well, it's just not warming back up enough. And this morning we had rain, which is a good thing.
It wasn't freezing, though.
Nah, wasn't freezing. Hey, if you'd like to join us this morning, you can join us at, you can call in 714-242-5220. And we've got a new number. Do you have it, Josh?
No, I don't have it.
Oh, you?
Well, dadgummit, let's see if I got it.
Just tell them to call in the 714 number. That's going to work.
Okay, the 714 number works. We'll just use that one. 714-242-5220 if you'd like to join in this morning and talk with us. And let me tell you, there's plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, did everybody see that interview that O'Reilly did with Obama?
The new Skype number.
Okay, it is 817-606-8679 if you'd like to call in through Skype.
Yeah.
So we'll get you through that way too.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you guys see the interview? Did you think Obama just kicked O'Reilly's butt?
Well, let me tell you what I think. I think it showed very clearly that O'Reilly was wussing out.
Yes.
Now, whether he got his butt kicked or not, because I knew what Obama was saying, and I knew his nose was growing so long that it kept pushing O'Reilly back in his chair.
And Rick, he tried to laugh his way through it and make light of the things that Bill O'Reilly was bringing up.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you have it.
And so, it's just like I look at it and I listened to it several times, and I just felt like he wasn't on his game at all, and the president got the best of him. Of course, O'Reilly, he's always going to give Obama a break because he wants him back.
Well, that and you also might wonder if there's not some threatening going on.
There could be.
If you treat me in a manner that I don't like, because, don't forget, I'm narcissistic, Bill. He kept saying, now, Bill, if you'll let me talk, I'll tell the audience that. I mean, it was an obvious distortion of who Barack Obama is, other than who those handlers have made him. In other words, they've made him tough because they're covering for him. If he stood alone in a dark alley, he would not be so tough.
Yes.
Because he's actually a wuss.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the pictures of him on a bicycle.
Oh, yeah, or hitting a golf ball.
Yeah.
Or he walks and talks and acts like a little girl.
Oh, yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. So he was probably picked on when he was a kid, don't you think?
But, Fox News has carried on about that interview, and I just didn't think it was that hot.
No, it wasn't that good. No,
Nah.
of course not.
But,
it was orchestrated.
We haven't gotten any answers on Benghazi, about anything that's got Benghazi. You remember Benghazi, right?
Where?
Yeah.
Oh. playing golf
Of course,
with,
you know what? We're not going to let that go.
no.
He he wants to move on from Benghazi and things like the IRS and all that stuff. We're not going to move on from it because we don't have answers.
That's true.
You know, and why doesn't Bill O'Reilly or some of the others ask him where in the hell he went to in the hours after he was notified? Just where was he at? What did he go do? Was he on top of things? That question never gets asked.
Yeah, it might have been. He might have been talking to that little chick he met when he went to the funeral in Africa.
Maybe.
For Mandela. You know, the one his wife kind of got upset about.
Oh yeah, the prime minister's wife.
Yeah. Maybe he was talking to her.
Yeah, could be.
Because they were doing selfies, you know. They were
Because he wasn't, as far as I could tell, on the job.
No. He hadn't been on the job since he got there.
Worried about 4 Americans getting killed.
He's not.
So, too busy for that. Let somebody else handle it.
That's a bump in the road.
Oh, yeah. What difference does it make?
Yeah. What was that?
I heard somebody say, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
We're
okay.
getting some little feedback
Okay,
here.
but
All
we-
right. Oh, somebody's shooting at us, too. Somebody says. You got a good
That's
shot.
right.
Who's that playing, I wonder?
Anyway, we get, and then also in that same interview, Rick, in that same interview, he tells us that Obamacare websites are up and running fine.
Running like a Singer sewing machine.
And then, then the next day, we find out, the very next day, we find out 22,000
Yeah.
people,
Not so much.
their issues with that they had with the website just disappeared.
You know, I think what happened up there in Washington some time ago, and I'm not sure when it happened, but it amazes me. And I've done a little research, okay? I made a few phone calls and checked through some of the back doors. And now it's clear to me they took the constitutional oath and changed the constitutional oath from having a picture of the Constitution and the Bible to having a picture of the liar's prayer.
Oh, yeah,
They swore to it.
right.
I think that's what happened. Now, that's what they told me.
That's right. But anyway, hey, if you guys think Obamacare is up and running fine, make sure you go out and spread the words to your friends and family. Stay the hell away from that. It's not secure. It's not working right. Don't go any place near it.
Yeah, don't get too
don't-
far out in front of it.
And don't give a navigator that could be a felon your information.
Here's a clue that they might be a felon. I found this out too
Uh-oh.
with the same source. If they answer the phone and you hear someone speaking, they might be a felon.
That would be a clue. If you don't get a recording and somebody's actually talking to you, beware.
Yeah, buddy. If you got a live wire, don't talk to them.
If you actually get through, don't talk to them. Because the chances are you're not going to get through because it's all hosed up.
Yeah, we know what that means.
Yeah, that's true.
We know. Not sure you know, but
Hey,
Mel and I and Josh know what hosing up means.
yes, we sure do. We didn't spend all that time in the military for nothing.
No. We put a lot of fires out.
That's right. Hey, and look, you guys, what do you think of the Super Bowl?
There was a Super Bowl this
There was
year?
a Super Bowl.
Has it already been played?
I think at halftime, everybody just kind of, the commercials were the only thing to keep you there.
That's for sure.
And
'cause
some of those weren't very good, especially the Coke commercial.
There wasn't certainly anything to keep you there from the first kickoff.
That's true. It kind of aggravated me about the red carpet thing where they were having movie stars coming through, like going into the Oscars or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
They had a red carpet out for these people, and then as they're doing that, there's a movie star dead in an apartment just not miles away.
With a needle sticking out of his
yes,
arm.
with a needle sticking out of his arm. What? Please, quit putting these people on a pedestal. Quit
Well, you
putting
know,
them out there like they're some kind of heroes.
well, baseball players, football players, basketball players, all of those sports types think that they are celebrities. And so what better way to promote yourself and impress other people and convince them that you are a celebrity if you don't have celebrities there?
That's right. And we're fixing to put a picture up of the and I'm going to say young man because he's just 46 years old.
Yeah.
And that's Seymour Hoffman. And he was a brilliant actor. But he was a drug addict also. And Rick, you know what? I'll guarantee you, probably maybe one of the first drugs he had other than alcohol, which is legal by the way, was a doobie. Was marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
The gateway drug to it all.
If you can feel good on marijuana, I wonder what you could feel good if you could take a bump of heroin.
Ooh, man.
And that's really a very sad story.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it is.
He used to be on heroin back in the 80s and early 90s,
Yeah.
and then he got cleaned up, for 20 years. And then within the last few months, he got hooked on hooked on heroin again. They said he had 70 packets of it.
Yeah. We don't know how long he was off of it.
Yeah,
We
that's
only
true.
know that they tell us that he
Yeah.
was off of it.
And they said when they describe it as a bag, that's probably a little packet. It doesn't take much of that stuff to put you down. So, I mean, it is a sad thing. And, now they've got to explain to his 3 children what happened to him. And I'm sure if they're old enough, they have some idea that their dad had problems.
You know, I told somebody the other day, right after hearing of his death, that he had played in Home Alone.
Yeah.
He was the oldest brother in Home Alone. And they said, that was him?
Oh, yeah.
He's a clean-cut looking young kid then.
Was that really him?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was in movies like The Twister, which, the Twister is a type movie that everybody will watch no matter how many times it comes on.
I do.
It's just a fun movie.
And he acted like a really crazy guy
Yeah.
in that movie, kind of
Uh-huh.
hell-bent for leather.
As a character actor, he was well liked.
Because he was so in real life.
Yeah.
He wasn't acting. He was a
But,
character in real life. He's a smart guy, don't get
Yeah,
me wrong.
yeah, hey.
I'm sad to see him gone, and especially in that manner.
Oh, yeah.
But he lost it. I'm telling you, a long
And
time
for
ago.
those of us that have people that are hooked on drugs in their family, I think 95% of them will tell, and maybe more than that, will tell you that marijuana was where they started out at.
Mm-hmm.
You can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Super Bowl. They had the red carpet thing. They had all these people in the stadium, and let me tell you, the freedom fighters, they prevented a disaster at the Super Bowl. They brought it. They said it was going to be attacked by the New Jersey State Police.
Yep.
So by them getting the news out there that it was going to be attacked by the New Jersey State Police, they thwarted the event.
Does that mean they stopped it?
Yeah, that means they stopped.
Thwarted.
Thwarted.
Yeah, that's kind of like getting stuck with something almost.
Yeah,
ain't it?
really. So, thank you, freedom fighters, for saving the day.
It looks like Devin Rattray is the guy who played Buzz in Home Alone.
Well, maybe I'm wrong.
Kind of looks like Seymour Hoffman.
Let's see. December. See, Home Alone cast where they are now. ABC's Home Alone was released in. Take a look at the actors played McAllister's family. Kevin's oldest brother that owned a tarantula ate all the cheese of a pizza. Photo: Philip Seymour Hoffman. Maybe I'm wrong. I apologize. Maybe it was Devin.
But hey, you guys.
But
hey,
maybe he played. Maybe it was 2 different shows.
Hey, at 10:30, we've got Chris Blystone calling in.
Yeah, Chris
And
is
he
calling,
just
yeah.
got back from the water run to to Madison, West Virginia, and he's going to be telling us about things that went on up there because he couldn't really report what was going on because there wasn't any communications up in those hollers.
Yep. In
They're
fact,
still.
That's how they give directions. up
That's
there, you know.
right.
Where does he live? Oh, he lives about 4 hollers off at Johnson Holler.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Go follow the roads, follow the rivers up there. So it's
So anyway, I stand
Yeah.
corrected on Hoffman being the oldest brother, but I need to call this web search guy and tell him he's got it wrong. Anyway, that's okay.
hey, listen, this guys. You know the mass transit system that they forced everybody into taking into that stadium, into the Meadowlands. People were stuck there till 1 and 2 in the morning. They were hot.
I bet they were.
Hot because they could have drove out really fast.
Yeah, especially if they're a Broncos fan.
Really? You'd want to get out of there pretty quick, wouldn't you?
Right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What a pitiful performance. You know, I don't know if it's a pitiful performance by the Broncos or just such a dominant performance by the Seahawks. No, it's been a while.
No, it was a pitiful performance
Was it?
by the Denver. They were really pretty close teams in the early seasons
Yeah.
games, and no, I think it was an obvious flat tire that day for the Bronx. But that's the way it works.
I was surprised to find out later on that Manning had set a Super Bowl record for the number of completions in the game,
Right.
and they still lose. And they lose in that fashion.
Yeah, it was.
It was pitiful.
It was a butt whipping. That's what that was.
Yeah. Hey, excuse me.
Hey, talking about Obamacare for a minute, maybe we're going to zip back to there. We're kind of jumping around this morning. The unions are now whining over Obamacare that they're going to be losing. They're finding out they were exempted for a year. Well, guess what? Eventually, they've got to jump on board with Obamacare, and they're not liking it. They're
Well,
going to lose their Cadillac plans.
You know what? I'm glad.
Hey, look, they helped push that thing out there.
They've been pushing Obama up our butts for how long now?
Years, and let me tell you, the unions. Oh, hey, look, this is going to be great. This is going to be good. They thought it was going to be good for you, and not for them.
Right.
They didn't give a damn about you. The only thing they give a damn about is themselves.
Well, aren't union leaders a whole lot like politicians?
Oh yeah, they are. Let me tell you, the unions have taught the politicians this mess that they've learned, because most unions are inherently communist.
That's right. The collective.
Exactly. They'll talk about it. They'll talk big, American made, blah, 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 blah. And really all they care about is themselves and collecting union dues. That's all they care about. Nothing else.
That's right. All that other is just
Me,
fodder.
me. It's never the country. They'll act like that.
And that's what most people today, if you think about it, are paying more attention to what's in it for them. Is it a wonder that we're even still standing under the American flag?
Oh, yeah. So, hey, unions, keep on crying here.
Yeah, cry all you want to. Everybody grab a tissue. Yep, there you have it. That's what I got for you. Bend over. Let's get that diaper off.
That was 20 seconds of crying. We could have gone for a minute.
Yeah, how long have they been crying?
Man, they've been crying for
Years.
months now.
Decades.
Over the
Centuries.
since they found out, hey, they were going to have to jump on board to Obamacare.
Yeah, take a ride with us. Yeah, take a ride with the rest of the people.
Yeah, take
Yeah.
a
And
ride on
the
our
good news
side.
for them, though, is they've perverted the wage in the unions enough and high enough that they ought to be able to afford it.
Let me tell you, we got a lot of mess going on between big business, unions, and the government. It's fascism, folks.
That's it.
Let me tell you, you union workers, you're fixing to get hosed.
Oh,
Those big wages you're enjoying right now, they're coming down.
yep.
And the immigration bill that's headed our direction is going to help do just that. Bring everybody's wages down
Yep.
as prices go up.
Too bad.
Oh, you know what? The market fell 300 something points yesterday. We might ought to send Robert a text.
Yeah, I've got him on the phone
Yeah.
coming real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
He might want to make a comment over that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the immigration bill, the Republicans have, they're saying now, Ryan was saying the other day that, hey, that may be delayed. May not happen in 2014. Folks, do you think they're going to push it past the elections? They're going to make sure they don't go out there and take those hard votes? That they're going to push it past the elections to make sure their butts are safe? Let me tell you, incumbents are the major problem we have today. And let me tell you, term limits will solve a lot of that. Now, these folks we have in there right now are not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They'll sit there and lie and tell you, well, you can term limit me anytime you want. Well, you know what? They know that the odds of that happening are slim. Are very slim, and I can't remember what the odds of that were. It was up in the high 80% area that getting rid of them is a problem. And we got somebody calling in. How about that? Hello?
Oh, I'm sorry. I must have the wrong number.
All right.
Hello.
I don't know what that was about, but hopefully we're still online. I think we are. Oh, here we got somebody at 661. And good morning. You're on Chaos Radio with Mel and Rick and Josh.
Hola, ¿qué tal, viendo?
0240. You're set to go.
Crank it up.
I'm just
Hello.
saying, just call us. You're just trying to mess with us.
Maybe so.
It may be. Yeah.
Who? Write that number down. I'll
He may
call
be.
them back. I'll give them.
Let me do that.
Yeah, write that number down. But anyway, Robert, if you're listening out there, Robert K., give us a call. We'll let you get on the air and tell us a little bit about. We want to hear about merging markets. Yeah, merging markets. Which ones are those? Oh, that's those jihadists coming? Merging markets.
Merging markets.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something merging, something coming, something's doing good. I don't know what it is. They're always talking about it on, the financial reports.
We may have to have Robert explain merging markets to everybody.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like an intersection of two railroad tracks. Mm-hmm. Intersection now, not parallel. Intersection. Some point in time, they all end up at the same intersection at the same time.
But merging markets are probably the European markets, the American markets,
Right, yeah,
the Japanese
yeah,
market,
yeah.
all that stuff.
I was just clowning.
Emerging markets. But, so you brought up jihadists. Did you see the picture of the 4-year-old jihadist
Is he still in diapers?
firing an AK-47?
Yeah. And he crapped in his pants, and his pants are dragging the ground.
4 years old.
Yeah.
And
So what's
what
that
are we
all
teaching? What are we teaching our young boys?
about? Sew and wash dishes and to run funny and talk silly.
Uh-huh. Go to field day and carry
Field
an
day,
egg
yeah.
in a spoon.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Sack hops.
Sack hops. Yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be good for
wood,
him.
jump rope.
But you know what? They'll be nice and kind, and
That's right.
they'll be able to
They'll
communicate
be
with their
fair.
former or
They'll
their
be,
future wives.
They'll be fair to everybody.
They'll be fair,
And they'll be diverse.
and they'll be able to talk,
Yeah.
have conversations.
They won't be able to write cursive.
No.
They may
Or
not
do math.
Yeah, or they may not be able to do analytical thought,
And they probably can't take a shot like Kyle used to be able to take.
and they won't be able to figure out why that 4-year-old jihadist is shooting at them
No.
or throwing a pressure cooker at them.
Well, they'll pee their pants if they see somebody doing that.
So this is what we're doing to our young boys, and I would include the girls in that here.
Oh, no, actually, some of the girls are tougher.
That's
Most
true.
of the girls are tougher.
That's true.
Yeah.
'Cause
They're being taught to lead.
Because as somebody with 10 grandchildren, I can tell you the girls generally are a lot tougher than the boys.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the kind of conclusion they're going to come to is that if you waterboard this kid whenever he's grown up, that's going to be torture, even if it's going to save Americans' lives.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, we got another call in, and that would be 0949. Good morning. You're online with Mel and Rick and Josh. Hello.
Are we not hooking up?
Oh, let me see. Okay, let me try it now. Good morning. 0949. There we go. I think we're back. 0949. Good morning.
Hey, brothers. This is Craig Cosgrave.
Hey,
How you
turn
doing?
the radio down in the background.
Yeah, I'm going to turn you guys off. For some reason, there's a delay, I guess.
Yeah, there may be a little bit of a delay. That happens, but
We never know what we're going to say, so we got to put in a little bit of a delay.
It
Right.
seems like I've been living with a delay all my life.
go ahead,
Well,
Craig. Good
what are
morning.
you guys talking about? All we learned about in the O'Reilly interview with Obama?
Oh.
Is that what you guys are talking about?
we
All the
were-
confessions?
We were talking about that earlier. I thought that O'Reilly had done a poor job.
I thought it was going to be confession.
Well, you can't get the guy you can't squeeze him. He's slippery.
Well, he's got
So I guess for what he had.
he's
Well-
got too many people that are blocking and picking for him. He doesn't have to stand on his own 2 feet. Somebody else will take up for him. They just give him the prompter, and they tell him what to say. They give him the talking points, and he can say things like, now, Bill, if you'll allow me, I'll tell the folks what that is. In other words, he's being narcissistic. He's good at that.
Well, did you notice that what was interesting was that every single thing that they were talking about was either lawless or abject failure. His whole regime here for 5 years or whatever it's been of held for the United States is complete and utter disaster.
Yep.
Yep.
He has nothing he can brag on other than we've become really a lawless state under him, unfortunately.
Well,
I don't know. I told a group of Tea Party people here, and I believe this. I'd like to see what you all think. I've come to the conclusion that the federal government is in insurrection against the people of the United States.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. They'd like to call it the other way, but that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, they don't care about the Constitution. I have a neighbor who was at a Super Bowl party, and I just met him. He's an ex-FBI agent. I'm sad to report to you boys, he was bragging about the fact that he didn't have to mess with Obamacare.
There you
And
go.
he lives high on the hog. He lives high on the hog, believe me. He had these rough assignments in Hawaii and Barbados, and doesn't like cruise. And basically, I would say he is what you would call your average. And he had a couple tours in D.C. I would say he's your basic bureaucrat.
Yes, I started to say the same thing. Yeah.
I hate to say it. I mean, it was sad. I almost had of course, you know me, I almost had a stroke talking to him.
Yeah.
But
hard to keep your words back, right?
Well, he didn't even know I mean, I don't believe honest to God, here's an FBI agent. I don't believe he understood the Constitution.
No.
I don't, he looked at me when I told him, I basically came up with that idea about a week ago, and I told him that. I told him that the Special Forces troops are severely upset. I mean, he looked at me like I was crazy.
Sure.
These people could care less. They're living high on the hog off us, all these bureaucrats. It's almost like there's it's what the big boys have set up. There is an elite and the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't care.
No.
And so they are in insurrection against us. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
So does this former FB1 agent, that's what we used to call him, FB1, does he live down there close to, in your neck of the woods? Or did you travel somewhere to meet him?
He lives right down the street from me. He lives on a pond down there. He's got a big, beautiful house, and he's living the good life.
Yeah.
And that's the way they are around D.C. But and it was very sad because this man was a law enforcement officer, and I could tell, he kind of liked Christie, if that. I don't know if he was really a Democrat. I suspect he's a Democrat. But he did say, I like Christie versus he didn't like Cruz. And, of course, their standard deal is, of course, the left has managed to slime anybody who's decent. And so they follow the chirping of the leftist media, their narrative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I hope we succeed in this program.
But we have so many of them, Craig, to get rid of at some point in time. We've got to move them out of the departments of Justice, the Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, you name it, and we have these neocons, these are Marxist or fascist in all of these places, and they're stacked up like cordwood. I mean, even to change the leadership, to change the issue, to correct the problem, will be a monumental long-term task. Because you got to retrain other people to take their place, then you got to get rid of them.
Well, and we're lawless. They have broken the law. Matter of fact, they've got this ex-CIA guy who they were talking about on Fox this morning, who really changed the narrative on the Benghazi attacks.
Yeah.
Now that guy has left office, and guess what? He's making a ton of money in a big leftist think tank now.
Sure.
So they don't even, to get to these people under this Attorney General is impossible. He is totally lawless. We all know this.
Yeah.
They're tied in with the drug cartels. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They weren't trying to mess with the Second Amendment. They were getting money for those guns.
Yeah.
And the only reason they stopped at 2,500 is because they got caught.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How many were they going to ship across? You got the answer, Rick? How many were they going to ship across?
Well, I'll ask you.
You get what I'm saying, right?
I'll ask the question with a question because it's unknown. But the question is how many did they move across the border before they got caught with the 2,500?
Yeah, we don't know.
That's the real question.
We'll never know that. I'm sure they burned all that paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
But the Mexican, I've been involved in the drug trafficking, not the drug trafficking, human trafficking. I've given a little money to a foundation in Dallas trying to save some of these young women. And I was at a cocktail party there, an event for them, and this woman that runs the foundation said there are 1,000 women every night in the Metroplex that don't even have young women don't even have a place to lay their heads.
Yes, sir.
And so I was talking with some producers. You all know I have a movie company, and producers picked up a script of mine called Valley of Bones, which talks about the human trafficking. And we had a Mexican man from the Chamber of Commerce out of Juarez, and he was living in El Paso. And a woman who's a reporter out of New Mexico who investigated a lot of this stuff, and this Mexican man said basically over the phone on this conference call with about 6 or 7 people that the Mexican government and the American government colluded to give intelligence to the Sinaloa cartel, and basically they wiped out many of the other cartels. And so basically what we're talking about here is that old Mexico is a narco state. And, of course, we armed them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We helped arm them.
And some of that money flows into the right hands up here.
Well,
Yeah.
you know where the headquarters of the American Sinaloa cartel is? Can you name the city?
No.
Chicago. Chicago.
There you go.
Does that tell you anything?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you guys, joining us this morning. Matter of fact, I think it's Chris Blystone. He just got back from West Virginia on taking the water up there, and he's going to tell us about what went on up there. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. I know you've got to be tired from your. I know that had to be a whirlwind trip. 20 hours up
it
there,
was.
20
I think
hours back.
Yeah, we left on Friday and got back Monday morning, and I think we slept about 6 hours total in that time. It was intense, and it was a lot more than about water. We met some amazing people up there, but there was a lot more to it than just a truckload of water. We were blown away, to be honest with you.
But can you kind of give us a scenario of what happened and you know, what else beyond the water issue?
All right. Wow. I don't even know where to start, to be honest with you. Everything along the way. I'm telling you, this was I don't want to sound like a preacher in church, but I'm going to go there. This was a spiritual battle. Everything along the way, little nitpick things that kept getting in the way of this. Little roadblocks, obstacles that we had to overcome. But we get there and we get it done, and little over 45,000 pounds of water distributed in less than 2 hours.
Really?
I mean, it was gone in 2 hours. And we had an entire semi extremely overloaded to get it done. It was 24 pallets worth of water. Gone in 2 hours.
Wow.
And people still standing in line wanting more. We got that done, and we were going to go back to the church and collapse because we hadn't slept. It's going on 36 hours now that we hadn't slept. So we went back to the church and fell asleep in the sanctuary on the floor. Woke up a couple hours later after a small nap, and the church had gotten together and had a little fellowship to feed us. They made some spaghetti for us and were feeding us, and the coming together was really what this was about. This had very little to do with water. Water was just the catalyst.
Right.
I'm telling you, God was involved in this, and He brought us together to meet with this church, to meet with the West Virginia militia, to meet with these guys and get to know one another. And that coming together, standing shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, working together, was what was really this was about. Don't get me wrong, the water was important, and I'm glad that those people got some water, but I'm telling you, it was a shot in the arm. They needed a lot more than what we had to give. But standing there shoulder to shoulder with other patriots, with other people, getting out from behind the keyboard and stopping, quite frankly, bitching about it. But let's go do something about it. And the unity that we received from standing there toe-to-toe with each other. The mayor of the town, for Operation American Spring, he's given the police department, the fire department, and the city hall as rally points for Operation American Spring. People can come there and stay there and rest up and recuperate on their way to and from Operation American Spring.
Wow.
The church has opened their doors. Not only that, but that entire church is going to go. I taught Sunday school that morning, and it was nothing but Operation American Spring. The pastor went out and taught, and his sermon was nothing on American Spring. At the end of it, they grabbed the American flag at the end. We pulled it out into the middle of the aisles there, and everybody came and laid hands on that flag and prayed for our nation. The word got out to this was a Wesleyan church, and I'm not sure, I've never heard of a Wesleyan church, but it sounds like they're very similar to a Methodist in a lot of ways. But they called their Wesleyan convention, and 2,200 churches. And these 2,200 churches are all going to get involved and all do the same thing. That's what this was about. This water was important, but it was the steps. It was a catalyst for something, in my opinion, even vastly more important.
Right. And for our listeners that don't know what Operation American Spring is, could you explain that to them?
Operation American Spring, May 16th, beginning on May 16th, we're going to go to D.C., boots on the ground, and have our voices be heard. Not as a one-day rally like so many other before us that have gone there to have their grievances heard, but were ignored because they left the next day.
Right.
We intend to go to stay. Walk like an Egyptian. Stand out there like those guys and have your voices be heard, and if they won't hear you, don't go away until they do. I think that's the main strength of it, is the fact that it's going to be a massive undertaking. We're asking for 10 million people to show up and at least 1 million to stay. That's a battle that we've got to do.
Yeah, you know, Chris, the phrase that keeps resonating in my heart is the message, we're not leaving, you are, speaking to the politicians.
Yep.
But that's
it's more about fear. It's not even necessarily about those 7 guys that we're asking to resign. It's not about them. It's about fear. The American people sit back and we're afraid. The Benghazi thing, we see those kind of things. We see these, Fast and Furious. We see all of these different aspects of the evil that our nation is pulling, and we sit back and we're afraid. We're afraid to stand up. DHS has bought 6 billion rounds of ammunition. We're afraid to stand up. IRS is going to audit us. I know I got an IRS audit in the mail 2 days ago. They're coming after us with a vengeance. So many of us are afraid to stand up and have our voices be heard because of the wrath of the government. We're supposed to be the other way around. The government's supposed to be afraid of us, not us afraid of them. And when we're afraid of our government, we have tyranny, period, pure and simple. The government needs to be reminded who they work for. And if they don't want to listen, we've got to show them.
Yes, we do.
So this is more than about water. There was more to this than water. There really was.
Yeah. Well, look, we want to thank you for everything that you've done. And thank you on behalf of Operation American Spring, WBTM Internet Radio and Television, Lone Star Tea Party.us. We were all behind the effort. And, we felt it was a worthy cause. And now, from what you're telling me, this was more than we thought it would be.
Let me ask a question real quick, Chris. Did you have a chance to meet, first of all, with Diane? Did you get a chance to meet her?
Yes, she was right there. She spent most of the time organizing and making this a reality. We Texas guys, we just kind of showed up and followed her orders. Is what it boils down to.
Well, that's good. It's always nice to have somebody in charge, knows their way around in the locale that you end up in. Now then, speaking to the FEMA issue, and we had learned before you left that they had basically, jerked their phones out and went home. Was that the case, or did y'all run into some FEMA people, or did you run into any type of emergency management groups as you entered into the question area?
Well, I'll tell you, Thursday, before we left, we had a plan, we had a mission. And we came on the radio program, your radio program, briefly, and told what we were going to do. Within the next couple of hours, FEMA beat us to it. They delivered to both the locations that we were going to deliver to, and they delivered in such a mass that the towns literally told us they didn't need it.
Wow.
So we came out, and on my Facebook page, we posted that we were going, since the changing situation on the ground, we were going someplace else. And FEMA beat us to it. And they had pulled out. But I'm telling you, your radio program, it had an effect. Mm-hmm. Because they started delivering water. They got a fire under their butts and started doing their job.
Yeah.
And started delivering that water, if nothing else, just to beat us there.
Maybe.
And that's fine by me. I can seriously consider just coming back on your radio program and listing out 15 different towns that we were going to deliver to, and watch them do their job.
Yeah, that sounds like a good ploy. They'll probably catch us at it by now, though. They won't respond.
They did it after our program here on the radio. That I want to say it was Wednesday or Thursday. They started really getting on the ball. We said we were going to Boone County. Boone County got 14 truckloads full, 14 semis full.
Go figure.
We said we were going to Bud. We said we were going to Bud, West Virginia. Well, had everything lined out Thursday morning, talked to the principal there at the school. We were all set up. Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she says, Chris, I'm sorry, I've got no room for your water. They've delivered thousands upon thousands of gallons. My cafeteria is stacked. The water's going down my hallway. Great, good. I'll just go someplace else. I'm sure there's still somebody that's in need. And we ended up going to Madison, West Virginia, which is still in Boone County. So FEMA had delivered this water, but it was just sitting there. Nobody had gone through the process of trying to set up delivery, set up anything. So when we showed up at the volunteer fire department, and the mayor shows up and says, oh my goodness, I can't believe you guys are here, this is awesome. And we pass out water left and right. 2.5 hours, it's all gone. There's still people in line wanting more, but we're out. And we think we're done, and we're breaking, we're going to go eat and take some sleep, and as we're driving out of town, guess who's driving in?
FEMA.
5 trucks full. FEMA, 5 trucks full of water trying to get out there.
Hey, if nothing else, we'll just have to embarrass.
We may not have. We only delivered 1 little truck of water. That's awesome. But maybe, just maybe, between your radio program and our efforts, we actually got FEMA to do their job. The National Guard was pulling up into town right as we were leaving, 5 deuce-and-a-halves full of water, and the National Guard troops to deliver it out. So, I don't know. I don't want to take the credit for FEMA's water, but I'm going to anyway. It was our program, your radio program, us going out there, made FEMA do their job.
Well, don't forget, Chris, we were successful that day in talking to FEMA. Mm-hmm. And we talked to a jackleg up there that acted like he didn't know where the back door was. But we told him he needed to know. And so I would imagine that he got on the phone and started calling some people. And if you'll recall, we made a couple more phone calls that day. And so, you know, this was an attempt to stop the proverbial egg on their face situation. And you know what? That's great. I don't care who gets credit as long as these people get what they need. Now, the next question I had is, what is the sinister side of what FEMA was doing? What were their intentions? And here's a question I have. If they were there and they were dragging their feet about getting water there, did they already have money appropriated, and what were they spending that money on, or who were they giving that money to instead of buying water? I wonder if something like that was going on, because, you know, FEMA waste a lot of money, and they know they waste a lot of money, and I'm telling you, I think that's part of the gig, is to look like you're wasting money when you're actually giving money to people that you want to have money, and that is their own. In fact, the mayor of New Orleans, who moved up here to Texas, is looking at a prison term for taking some of that money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and well deserves it, by the way.
You know, Chris, I've said all along, one of the big stories out of this thing is the fact that people just don't trust their government, and that's at any level. They,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, the governor up there couldn't guarantee that the water was not dangerous.
Yeah.
He could not guarantee that. And so,
Well, when we were up there, we started the water in the shower. Just going to take a shower, and I'm telling you, you wouldn't touch that water. It looked clean, but the stench was overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It would make your eyes just burn when that water was going.
Yeah.
wow.
And believe me, I'd walked in there. I thought, somebody told me that they thought it was just a mental thing because I knew what was in there. No, I was so tired, I wasn't even thinking about that. I just wanted to take a shower and go to bed, and I go in there and I start the shower, and whoa, I got woken up real quick by those chemicals.
Mm-hmm. Well, the
That
only
water's not safe.
only time your brain doesn't know what you're smelling is when your eye tooth has been crossed over with your anal nerve.
Well, I'm telling you, that doesn't surprise me, considering where I was.
Yeah.
But
So
the
they-
people of
they,
West Virginia desperately needed our help.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. This is all imagination. Yeah, right, sir. I think that water stinks. Oh, give me a break.
Hey, man. Again, Chris, we appreciate it all. Craig, you got any comments on that? What you just heard?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I was muted. No, I the only thing that's really interesting is there's been a complete news blackout, and it does kind of give one pause that the water appears to still be dangerous.
Well, there was an
I don't
article
know.
that came out.
Go ahead.
There was an article that came out when they turn on the water and it turns into steam, that the vapors are full of formaldehyde, a known carcinogen. So yeah, it definitely raises your eyebrows. They tell you it's safe.
You're trying to
but
kill
when it
somebody
turns
up there,
into
are they?
steam, I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely questionable.
Well, FEMA
Well,
got their
I
act
mean,
together.
we don't even the American public doesn't know about this anymore.
No.
In other words, no one's talking about it. We don't know that West Virginia's still having trouble.
Well, let me put a
You
plug
see?
in here for WBTM. That's why we have become the media.
Yeah.
And folks, you're not going to hear the stuff most places. So
What we have to do, though, on top of what Josh just said, and I hope that you had an opportunity, Chris, to tell those people to push the envelope about WBTM. Listen, we need everybody in this country listening. We don't make a dime off of this radio TV
No.
show. Not a dime do we make. In fact, we're in the hole right now. We're having to scrape up some money to pay last month's bill. So this is not about money for some of you people out there who might want to suggest that. This is not about our personal popularity. In fact, any one of you that wants to, come on up here and take over where Mel and I are, because we're ready to rest, to be quite honest. I'd like to see my granddaughter grow up. But I'm off doing this every time I turn around, and so is Mel, and so is Josh, and so are you guys doing what you do. And so for you negs out there who like to talk your trash, step up to the mic. Put your money where your mouth is. And let's get on board with this thing, and let's get these people involved, and let's get the message out, and then we'll see who's laughing at the end of the 2016 election, or we may be the ones crying. Okay?
There you go.
That's what we need to do. We need to push this envelope. We need to get everybody involved and on this radio show 24/7 anywhere we can get them. And West Virginia is a great start because they're good people. They're good country people, and they understand America.
You know what's sad, guys, and this is the truth, and we're trying to do this in our Tea Party down here in Burnett County. We've got to educate our fellow Americans. And I'm not kidding. It's like that FBI agent. I was astounded. He was like in Never Never Land. I don't know why he has no clue about the Constitution, or why he, would think Christie's a good guy or whatever. But the problem we have is that this is slow tyranny. It's like we're the frog being boiled. If we don't, many of the candidates in Texas, we have many good Tea Party candidates, and if you're listening, you need to find out who they are. But we have to focus now on the 2016 election. We're going to elect some officials in the state who are going to be absolutely horrible, and we've got to get rid of them.
Yeah, let me.
If Strauss gets reelected, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And you know what? Mel and I were talking this morning about an issue that we think everybody should know about. We have people in this state and in this town and in your town who want to change. They want to change. But they're not willing to do anything to get it. I posted an article yesterday on putting a yard sign for a candidate of your choice in your yard. You know how many people will not do that? Do you know how many people are afraid to? Afraid they'll be leveled. Listen, there are campaigns going on in this state right now for certain types of positions that other people depend on to make their living, and they don't want to stir up the water because they may have to go in front of this person or the other person to get something done so that they can make a living. And so don't you think that's part of the tyranny that exists everywhere? That eventually those who would subject us to tyranny completely take over everything, and then we have no place to turn. We have no court, no law that will protect us against those people if they pervert our systems with the people who do not support America or Texas or Arlington, Texas or Burnett, Texas or wherever you live. If you're afraid to put somebody's yard sign in your yard, then there's something wrong with that picture. And let me tell you something else. If you're not afraid to and you just don't want to, you're part of the problem.
Let me tell you, Rick.
You're not the solution.
I've got 3, and you know this, I have 3 yard signs in my yard. I'm the only house, with the exception of maybe one, in my neighborhood that has a yard signs out.
I had a meeting this morning, Mel. Josh, Craig, Chris, whoever's listening. I had a meeting this morning at the same old coffee shop that I always do, and one of the local candidates came in. Several of the people sitting at my table have not yet put a yard sign in their yard at their home residence. And this guy showed up and started talking, and by the time he was done, they were ready to go vote for him right then.
Yeah.
It's somebody I've been working with for some time and telling them about, and still they wouldn't take one of his yard signs home and stick it up in their yard. Well, you know what they did today? They asked for a yard sign. And I told them, I said, this is what you have to do, folks. You have to go see the candidates, talk to the candidates, figure out which one you like, and then do something for them, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, and Rick, for the folks that live for the folks.
Whoever's doing all that rustling, we're going to have to mute you.
I know who it is. Hey, for all the people that live in the cities, or in the or the inner city, even in the rural areas, every neighborhood has a name. That's like the area I live in is called Waverly Place. Mm-hmm. Do you know how easy it is to start a little neighborhood newsletter that could tell your neighbors about things that are going on, about the different candidates? That's a pretty easy thing to do. And you could walk around the neighborhood and pass out your little newsletter.
Mm-hmm. In that same vein, Mel, we also need these precinct chairs to step up.
That's right.
And start educating a precinct. I didn't realize how small a precinct is.
Yeah.
I mean, just in Arlington alone, you have 50 precincts.
Yeah. And they're easy to work with. They're small enough that one person could handle that whole precinct.
Right.
And you can even find help and be a precinct captain for the precinct chair.
That's right.
Now you got 2 people working in the little community.
Then you could be a block captain.
And I mean, it goes on and on and on. But let me tell you something, guys. I've been for months trying to get these guys to stick a yard sign in their yard. Mm-hmm. Finally, it happened. And it's proof in the pudding. If you'll get involved and go see these candidates in a forum or in a fair or whatever. We were at the Tarrant County Candidates Fair this weekend. Is he online?
No, but I'm.
Yeah, we've got a candidate going to call in here in just a minute. He had called in earlier, and we couldn't answer his phone number. So call back in.
Tell him to call back.
I did.
Okay.
I did. And hopefully this candidate is a statewide candidate.
He called in while Chris was talking, and I wasn't going to interrupt Chris.
Oh, okay.
Because I felt Chris was what he did was
But he calls in. He's going to be calling in every Tuesday. Dwayne Stovall is going to be calling our radio TV broadcast. And I would submit to you folks out there, take a look at this guy, pay attention to what he's got to say, and ask yourself if you want the same old again with John Cornyn. And let me tell you, you ask yourself another question: why did Steve Stockman drop out of a congressional seat to take a run at a Senate seat in Texas? There's something that doesn't meet the smell test there. But anyway.
Look, Rick, we got those great commercials. Cornyn is out there fighting. He's fighting Obama every day. I'm trying to think of what it is he's done to be fighting Obama every day. I mean, just what was it? Then we have, then we've got the ones that say they've got to secure the border plan. They've got to secure the border plan. Well, heck, everybody's got to secure the border plan.
Hell, I'll secure that damn thing. Plan. Take me down there. What do you see the interview that Josh and I did this weekend with the two of the guys running for the lieutenant governor's office? Yep. And including David Dewhurst. But we got Staples on the interview, and you're going to love what he's got to say. And I think really both of them did a good job. But, you pick and choose who you want. We did not get a chance to interview Dan Patrick, but perhaps we will be able to get him in the office. He was too busy for us, and that told me something. But we'll give him another shot at it. But anyway, going back to the West Virginia deal and the obvious things that happen if you get involved, like putting a sign in your yard, listening to a candidate. The key element in those issues, those situations, those examples is getting involved. Chris said, "Hey, let's stop talking about it. Let's go to West Virginia." Yeah, and look what happened.
You see how people responded to that.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, this is incredible stuff.
We've got to do more of that.
Especially in this primary season right now. This is whenever we get these incumbents, these liberal-leaning Republican incumbents. This is how we get them out of office.
Yeah, the only way.
Yeah.
And, folks, you, the individual, it's not rhetoric. You can make the difference. Mm-hmm. One individual can upseat an incumbent, not as a politician, but you can support the conservative politician and get the liberal leaning. We're doing it right here in our own neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Craig?
Well, if people don't get out and do what you gentlemen are talking about, I'm not kidding. This could be the last election.
This could be.
These people are wicked people. They're not good people.
No.
Nah.
And they're, it's interesting. You hear it all the time, and it just drives me wild. You hear Obama talk about his jobs plan, and then I'm sure everybody, at least I watched the Republican response to the State of the Union, and she was a well-spoken, nice-looking young woman, well-dressed, did a good speech, but she didn't say a word.
Yeah,
Guys,
exactly.
the reason that we have,
Yes, you're exactly right.
the reason that we have this lack of jobs is pretty self-evident, and it's a list of things that could be easily corrected by the Congress of the United States and certainly the Republicans, but they're so infiltrated by the left that we can't get any done. Both parties have kind of merged into this god-awful elitist deal. And let me tell you what I'm talking about, the Glass-Steagall Act, where they need to bring that back and get rid of, your commercial bank is your local bank, and they know what they're supposed to do. And then you have investment banks, which are the gamblers, and they allowed them to combine.
Yes.
Glass-Steagall will break that up again, because it needs to be broken up, because clearly these huge banks, they should have been allowed to fail anyway. They're so absolutely corrupt, they've destroyed our system. But beyond that, these treaties like NAFTA, and they've got one they want to try and get through, Obama wants to fast track with the Pacific. Basically what that has done is offshored for the last 20 years, has offshored all of our jobs. Clinton started it. He needed money. The Chinese gave him money, and they offshored all of our technology, our missile stabilization capabilities, so now they can hit us with nuclear weapons. They gave them satellite encryptation capabilities. Matter of fact, right now, and I don't know if you all know this or not, General Motors has 11 plants in China, and they're getting ready to start up their technology plant. They're going to shift all of that to China.
Yes.
Guys, there used to be laws against this. Mm-hmm. You can't. When we develop the technology over here and then we ship it to India and China, are you kidding me? China hates us. We are destroying ourselves. Exactly what Khrushchev said. We have interlocking directorships. We have total corruption of these multinational corporations that are. Look at what Coca-Cola did on the Super Bowl.
Yes.
We're one world order crap, and it's sad. These are the kind of things that we are desperate. We have to elect people like Stovall who will go in there and make an attempt to change the laws and quit offshoring our jobs and get these. We need our tariffs back. We've lost our textile industry, our furniture manufacturing. No one understands history anymore because our children are being dumbed down to the point of ridiculousness. And so this is the kind of stuff that we need. We've got to elect people with integrity, and we're not doing it right now, folks. Cornyn needs to go away. He is a god-awful senator, and we need to get rid of him.
And I think
anyway, I'll shut up and let you guys comment.
And we don't need to elect Steve Stockman. All Steve's been doing is playing to the dog and pony shows to make himself look good, and then to have a reason that he can tout as to why he needs to be the next U.S. Senator from Texas. It's absolutely ridiculous and transparent what he has done. The only true candidate left is Dwayne Stovall. Period. And it's not because I want Dwayne. It's because Dwayne is our only hope. Out of those three choices, Dwayne is our only hope. Because the other two have already subverted us. Why would we put one of them back in there? These are not our people. Steve Stockman is not a Tea Party guy. He hadn't even been to a Tea Party until he found out he needed to get elected. He hasn't voluntarily sought a Tea Party to belong to in the Houston area. In fact, he's just like the rest of them. He runs from the Tea Party because he doesn't want to get associated with it, as if we're something wrong with us.
Therefore, we might ask a tough question.
Yeah, we're going to have to mute somebody, so give us a second here. We'll be back online with you. But anyway, we're waiting on Dwayne to call. We have gone over a couple of things today that I want to add something to, and that is your local elections. The courts in all corners of the United States are at risk of being perverted by the national government. These people are about themselves and not about governance and not about the law. They want these jobs so that they can rip the public off even more, and some of them will retire from one publicly funded job and get the retirement out of it, and they'll rush over to another one and they'll run and get elected in that level of government and grab another entitlement for themselves through retirement. All the time not doing the job that they were hired to do in the first place, just filling in the time, vesting themselves, and grabbing another paycheck. Stop it, folks. Stop it.
And you're the ones with the power to do that.
You're the only ones.
And if you want term limits, you've got to put people in there that will do what they say.
That's right. And I'm going to suggest we call that guy right there quick and just see if we can get him online.
We're going to call him.
So it's because we've hung up on him twice.
All right. Well, we didn't mean to.
Well, I didn't say we meant to. Or I would have said we meant to hang up on him.
This is the exciting part of the show when we're dialing here.
One number at a time. That's all we can do, guys.
We
can't see.
Or don't type fast.
We can't see. We're old.
This call could not be completed because you're trying to reach a Skype user.
Yeah.
This call could not be completed because you're trying to reach a Skype user.
Okay. Hush up.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it a different way.
It wouldn't let us dial because that was a Skype number.
Yeah, it makes sense now.
So we had to. Anyway, hey, did y'all hear about the part-time fry cook that jumped all over Obama because he confronted Obama because he's been shifted to part-time?
Go ahead.
Okay, here that one may work.
Yeah, that's a different number. But anyway, if you haven't registered to vote, folks, you got time before the March 4th election. 30 days before. But you got to hurry. And that would be today. You got to go register. This is your last day to register. There we go.
Wow.
Well, it doesn't look like that's going to work either. So
Take him off now. You hung up
Your
on
call
him.
has been forwarded to an automatic voice message
here we go
system.
again.
28168299654 is not available.
yeah, it's about time to shut her down.
Oh no.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There we go. All right, that didn't work. Okay. Let me see where we were at. This is a part of the problem. We stop and start making phone calls, then we get lost. And but that's all right. We'll rebound here. And oh my goodness, we've got a TSA officer arrested for making terrorist threats. Now, you know what? Is it kind of like the fireman that goes and starts a fire so he can rush down there and be the hero? What do you think about that, Craig?
Yeah, that's in the old days when I was still flying, they had private companies doing this, and now we've got a federal bureaucracy, which we can't afford, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost this sounds kind of sick, but it's almost as if the federal bureaucracy has decided that they're better than the rest of us, and we are fighting the federal bureaucracy. They're not even doing their job. The SEC didn't do their job for the banks. Mm-hmm. Because they want jobs in those banks. And, we ended up bailing out these banks. And if you look at Washington, D.C., I believe it's the number one area in the country that appears to be doing very well.
Oh, yes.
And so all the money's going that way. So what are we doing with these crazy people that are really, we don't realize this, but they're collecting benefits. You all realize this. We're going to be supporting them. Our children are going to be supporting them for 50 years.
Oh, yeah. And,
whatever.
Craig, not only that, we're now, the IRS, being as their morale is low, we're giving them bonuses.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, here's an organization that really needs to go away. We need flat tax, probably, and just say, fill in this blank. Here's your income times 10%. Send us a check. People don't realize they're printing $65 billion a month right now. They have been printing 85 at one time. Now they're cutting back, right? Well, the federal government just passed a $1.1 billion spending bill, and it goes till October. Guys, we are so bankrupt, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I know it.
We can't afford this bureaucracy. We can't afford and what is all this money? Are the roads better? Are we building water canals to the west? I mean, what are we doing with this money? No one's asking the question like, where is all this money? $1 trillion is $1,000 billion.
Craig, you were talking about that that federal worker that was living pretty high on a hog down there.
Yeah.
A federal worker makes about $22,000 to $23,000 more than the average dude out there, or dudette.
No, and what's sad is the guy was bragging about the fact that he didn't have to worry about Obamacare. Well, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Obamacare is going to cost about $1 trillion to set up. Beyond that, they're wrecking the insurance companies on purpose. And so they've got $1 trillion set aside to, I guess, bail them out for a year or so. I worked for Delta. It cost Delta an extra $100 million this year to comply with Obamacare. They're not even talking about how much it's costing all these companies to keep their employees insured. Well, guess what? Next year, all of this stuff is going to hit the fan.
Yes, it is.
For all of you folks out there working for big companies that think you're set, you're not going to be set.
Nah.
This is what it is, and this is planned. This is not a mistake. Did you see Obama? He could have cared less. He went on vacation in the middle of that chaos. He went to Hawaii for 15 days. No CEO in the world would leave his company in chaos.
Right.
Yet this guy did, and not a single person said a word to him.
No.
O'Reilly didn't say, "Hey, punk, why are you leaving?" All these people, we got 5 or 6 million people with no insurance. Think of the pain and suffering and all the hellfire and damnation they have going on right now in their own family.
Oh, you can't. Hey, you can't.
He doesn't care. The Democrat Party doesn't care.
O'Reilly's not going to ask.
The Republican Party doesn't care.
Craig, O'Reilly's not going to ask a question like that because he wants him back. He's not going to ask those type questions. He's going to throw those softballs out there so Obama can pitch it. And you know what? I'll bet you Obama knew the questions that were coming before he got there. Because he was just too slick with every bit of that.
Oh, yeah.
With every bit of it. Too slick.
Is that a new name?
Well,
and he didn't have a teleprompter. So let me tell you, he knew those answers. He was ready for them.
Yeah. Well, we're in trouble, and if we don't wake up, this is going to get to the point of no return. I believe we may be already at the point of no return. I don't believe. What's happening is, and people, you need to understand this. The Chinese are coming over here. They're buying things. Think on this currency, which is basically becoming worthless. All the big boys are taking this money, this fake money that they create out of thin air, and they're buying hard assets. And eventually what happens is, and this is the model, I did a movie called Dream Killers about Romania. What they do is they change the currency overnight, folks.
Yep.
So they'll have all the hard assets and all the gold and silver and everything else. They'll change the currency, and you'll lose everything.
Yeah. Hey, we've seen them do it, Craig. I was in Vietnam when they changed the MPC. It happened overnight. And you cannot imagine how many local nationals were at the gates and the fences of all of the military establishments in that country at the time and trying to exchange MPC, which was military payment certificates. They were worth something on their economy because we were allowed to spend them on their economy, and the government would exchange them. So when they changed them overnight, they were offering you, almost a one-on-one exchange rate just to do them a favor. But nobody could exchange more than $200. Go ahead, Craig.
That's right. The emerging markets right now are melting down.
Yeah.
The fiat currencies in Europe, the fiat currency in the United States, it makes no sense. In other words, the Treasury can print money.
Yeah.
So why would you say to the bank, to the Federal Reserve Bank, hey, print money for us?
Right.
And by the way, by doing that, we'll give you 5%. And then we're gonna issue bonds to you, which is another 2.65%. So now the American public are paying 7.65% for a piece of paper that we could have created on our own.
Oh yeah.
And at the point when they were doing 85 billion a month, that was $4.25 billion that we were paying the damn stinking rotten banks to print money, which the Treasury could have done. It's a scam. The Federal Reserve is a scam. It's a bunch of stinking rotten European banks run by the Rothschilds and Goldman Sachs, and they're all the same group. And they're the ones that sold all the fake derivatives and everything else and ruined the currency worldwide. And they made a ton of money on it. Don't let them think that they didn't. All these guys have hundreds of millions of dollars socked away, probably in gold and silver.
Oh, yeah.
And the American public is paying for it. We are paying for it. That's why we have to elect people like Stovall and really an honest, righteous legislature. Texas may have to protect itself. If they tear down the currency, the one thing we have going for us is we have gas and oil. And Texas, if it had to, we could protect ourselves.
If Russia or China,
but we've got to be very careful.
If Russia or China has their way, they will make sure that currency's tore down.
Absolutely. And keep
they're
in mind,
doing that right now.
Yes.
Keep in mind, folks, a lot of the folks that get elected to these different federal, national positions and state level positions, not many at the county or local level, but are members of or work for or have somebody that's connected to the entities that you heard Craig just mention. These highly industrialized banks is what they are. They're bank warehousing.
Hey,
they're controlled by the money people of the world, and they don't give a damn about you and me.
American citizens realize this. Not only did we stock our banks with money, we stocked everybody else's bank with money too over in Europe. Yes, we did.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's 100% correct. China is buying up all the gold.
Yes.
And the BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, where they manufacture gold, as we all know, they mine it all there. They are thinking about getting rid of our currency. Right now, the reason that we can print money is because we are the world's reserve currency.
Right.
And everything has to be paid for in petrodollars, which are U.S. dollars. But we've inflated that to the point where it's useless. People don't realize the system. Think about this. We print money out of thin air now. The Federal Reserve and the Treasury, they print money out of thin air. Well, why would we allow the Federal Reserve to charge us as American citizens 7.65% to print money out of thin air? It makes no sense. It makes more sense. See, that's why Jackson got rid of a central bank. He knew that how corrupt they were. We wouldn't. The American public isn't in all this debt. We didn't create all this debt. They created all this debt.
That's right.
The federal government, the Congress said, "Oh, you've got to sell your home, or you've got to." They said this to everybody. You've got to sell your home to a guy that doesn't have a job, that doesn't have 20% down. They wrecked the housing market in the United States of America and got away with it. Not one single person has gone to jail for this fraud. This is a massive fraud. Look what Obama's doing, the same exact thing to our health care system. The greatest health care system on earth. This Obamacare is a total fraud. It's totally unconstitutional. And we're sitting here letting these fools do this to us. That's what I said this. You know, I'm serious when I say this. The federal government is in absolute insurrection against the people of the United States of America. And we have to wake up, and we have to figure out what we're going to do about it. Maybe we have to have 10 million people go to Washington and tell them we're not leaving until you
got to have
get
that.
out.